I'm meteorologist Chris Coolwell here with that Local 5 weather impact forecast. Freezing rain, a huge troublemaker overnight, not only on the travel scene, but I do have some concern for power lines and tree branches as they sway in a bit of a breeze. Some may come down, especially into eastern Iowa. We have an ice storm warning in place. This is kind of that target zone we're going to be watching for the worst impacts and possibility of those outages and tree branches coming down. A little bit more likely here because there will be more in the way of ice accumulation. Winter weather advisory for the rest of Iowa. Everyone will see travel impacted by this, especially on those untreated surfaces. So let's go through things hour by hour. We won't see much of anything through the evening drive. Southwestern Iowa gets into this after 5 o'clock. I think the freezing rain arrives in the metro after 8 and continuing to spread northeastward with time. This will be on again, off again material before another surge of moisture arrives from the south overnight. First portion of Saturday morning is where the worst of the conditions will be. As we continue on closer to noon, temperatures will be warming, spreading northwards across the state, and that will alleviate some of those icing conditions, but still some signal that it will linger into northern Iowa a little while longer, all the way through the afternoon. So heads up for that. But again, as those temperatures warm, we will see the ice begin to melt and conditions will improve on the travel scene from south to north. Check out some of these ice accumulations out in eastern Iowa. That's where I do think we could run the risk of getting up towards a ½ inch of accumulation. That's swaying in the breeze. That is big time trouble. A widespread amounts, 1/10 to 1/4 inch across the state, but there's that eastern Iowa bullseye. Wind speeds aren't anything to write home about, but 10 to 15 miles per hour. We get much more than that. That's a concern. The wind gusts may be running 20 to 25 miles per hour, so that's what we'll be watching for, again, the possibility of maybe some of those power outages as power lines swing in that breeze, and also some tree branches that may come down. Poor travel overnight into Saturday morning. Again, we will see some nominal improvements as we continue on through the day, translating across the state from the south, but I'll emphasize this enough. I can't do that enough. We will have very dangerous travel, especially on those untreated surfaces. You may find conditions better at times on the major routes like interstates, but still it will be a difficult go of it if you do have to head out. The icy mix will continue through the start of tomorrow, but then we will see it transition to rain from the south, pushing northwards. You see Lamoni getting into that first, then Des Moines, Ames, and eventually Fort Dodge, but it will take the majority of Saturday to get that done. Temperatures briefly drop tonight to 22 and then start their ascent, and we should hit the mid-30s in Des Moines as we cruise into the afternoon. I think by about noon, the icing is done for the metro. Warmer temperatures still in the southern part of the state. Again, you'll get into that warmth a little bit earlier than the north will, so mid to upper 30s for highs, but it just takes some time. We'll continue to warm, a stretch of 40-degree days Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but we'll fall back down to something more likening to the winter time for the rest of the weekend into the weekend. No major disturbances. We'll track the small stuff through the duration of next week.